So I'm going to start off this morning with a little confession. Confession's good for the soul, right? I've been doing this minister thing for about 7 years now. So that's 7 years of a lot of Sunday lessons. And when it comes to coming up with a talk title, I don't consider myself all that clever. I'd rather you remember the essence of the message rather than the title that I give to it. At the same time, I'd like to expand my creativity, push that comfort zone, look for those growing edges. And some of my colleagues are incredibly creative with their lesson titles. One of my colleagues shared with me that from time to time, she looks at the Fun Day calendars, the national and the international Fun Day events, ones that indicate things like National Pickle Day, or World Introvert Day, which I can only imagine means everyone stays home, or National Dress Up Your Pet Day. And this Sunday, today, is Root Beer Float Day. So now you know how I got my title. So who enjoyed a refreshing root beer float as a kid? Where I grew up in northern Indiana, we had A&W root beer stands, and these were freestanding buildings that you would drive up to, and there was a car hop service. And my dad loved root beer floats. So when I was probably 8 or 9, I decided I was going to make him the best root beer float ever. And I had a system. First, a little bit of vanilla ice cream, then maybe a third of a glass of root beer, then stir that around until really, really creamy. Then add more ice cream, more root beer, a straw, and a teaspoon, and voila. And he loved them. But then my dad loved everything that us girls did for him. So simply the thought of root beer floats makes me smile a little bit with that memory of my dad. And I hope you have some sweet memories also. And if not, you can begin today with making your own, because our hospitality folks have seen to that, thanks to Lori and Janet and Robin. And as we're having our root beer floats today, I was reminded that today is Myrtle Fillmore's birthday. Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of the Unity Movement. So you can sing happy birthday to her while you're having your root beer float. So how might we find God in a root beer float? That was the teaser question from last week, so I have to answer that, right? Well, in Unity, we believe that God is everywhere present. We explore the three faces of God, the infinite God, the God out here, the God in nature, the God all around us, the God in the wind. We also explore the intimate God, and that's God as friend, as confidant, the God that is right beside us. And we also, and most especially in Unity, explore the innermost God, God within us, expressing as each one of us. If God is everywhere present, then God is also in a root beer float, correct? Well, God is everywhere present. And our role, our job, each one of us, is to always hold the intention to look for God, to look for good. Seek and you will find. That's what we're told in the Gospel of Matthew in chapter 7, verse 7. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. And this is part of the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew, and it follows the example that Jesus is giving to his followers on how to pray by using the words such as the Lord's Prayer. And the essential message that is within this passage, the one that I just recited, is that God is always present, always ready to answer our every need. We simply need to knock on the door, seek, look, and we will find. And Jesus compares God, who he calls Father or Heavenly Father, he compares God to an earthly parent. He says that if an earthly father loves his children and wants to give them gifts, how much more will the Heavenly Father give to those who ask. So this God essence, this universal love, all that is not inconsistent or capricious or reluctant to answer our prayers. Our prayers affirm and develop our faith, our absolute word for today, faith, our faith, which enables us to then receive. Because prayer does not change God. Prayer changes us. Prayer assists us in seeing life from a different perspective, both a higher perspective and at the same time, a more grounded perspective. Now, when I pray, sometimes I'm holding a specific prayer. Maybe I'm holding a healing and a wholeness for those on my prayer list. Maybe I'm holding a prayer for abundance and prosperity for those that I know are struggling, or a peace of mind and heart for all those who share this planet with me. And when I enter into meditation, I am sometimes holding the concept for a lesson that I'll be exploring and sharing with you. And I love the inspiration and the guidance that I receive from that time in the silence. But other times, and most often, when I enter into meditation, I am simply holding the desire to know God more, to absolutely feel that God essence in my core, to be aware of the divine connection, which is always there, but is often suppressed or it's muffled by our human experience, by the things that we go through day to day. We all want to live and move and have our being coming from that divine within us. You know, we're all 100% human and 100% divine. This desire to know God more is a deep, deep yearning within each one of us. You might recall a gospel song that was written and performed almost 50 years ago and many times since by Mark Pendergrass. It's called The Greatest Thing. The greatest thing in all my life is knowing you. The greatest thing in all my life is knowing you. I want to know you more. I want to know you more. The greatest thing in all my life is knowing you. And then it goes on to loving you and serving you. We each truly have this desire at the core of our being to know God more. And when we come to unity, we discover that the God we seek to know, the love we seek to feel, has been with us all along. We've been seeking and searching outside of ourselves, wanting someone to give us the answer, the secret, looking to this teacher or that one, this guru, that prophet, modern day or ancient. We read that book and then another one. We attend that workshop and that seminar, all promising to give us the answers we seek. The private, direct path to God in our life. We meditate in this fashion and we sit a certain way and we hold our hands and our bodies in a specific posture. We chant magic words. We seek outside of ourselves. We do this because we can't believe we hold the answers within us. And yet we do. There's a Hindu legend about a time when all humans were gods, but they abused their divinity. So Brahma, the chief god, decided to take it away from them and hide it where they would never find it again, hide their divinity from them. So he called a council of the gods to help him decide where to hide this, where to hide the divinity of humans. Let's bury it deep in the earth, said one god. But Brahma said, no, that won't do. One day they'll dig down deep into the earth and they'll find it. Then the gods said, let's sink it in the deepest ocean. And Brahma replied, no, not there, for they will learn to dive into the deepest waters and search for the ocean bed and find it. Then they said, let's take it to the top of the highest mountain and hide it there. But again, Brahma replied, no, For eventually humans will climb every high mountain on earth, and someday they will find it again. The gods gave up and said, "We do not know where to hide it, for it seems that no place on earth or in the sea is a place that humans will not eventually reach." So Brahma thought for a long time. And then he said, "Here's what we will do with humanity's divinity. We will hide it deep down inside humans themselves. The humans will search the whole world, but they won't look for it inside their true selves." And ever since then, the legend continues, humans have been going to and fro throughout the earth, climbing, digging, diving, exploring, and searching for something that is already within themselves. For me, hearing this message that God is everywhere present within all beings, God the good, everywhere present, right here. That was the greatest gift I could have ever been given. Finding out that the very essence of God, essence of good, has always been, is now, and will always be within my very being. When we look for the good, we see the good. When we look for God, we see God everywhere. In every flower, every sunrise, every sunset, every cloud and rainbow. We see God present in the faces of the little ones, babies and toddlers. We see God reflected in the faces of those around us, in the music we hear, in the paint strokes of the world all around us, in laughter and in tears. And there is our challenge, finding God in what we call the not so good. Today, you will hear about a Helping Hands project for a second collection. Now, our Helping Hands we do about every quarterly. These are opportunities we have to participate in helping people outside of our community who've experienced trauma, crisis, loss of some sort. You will hear about a Unity Church in Hartford, Connecticut, who recently was a target for theft and arson, part of a series of churches that were targeted in that area. The building was set fire in the library, and very fortunately, this church was constructed in recent years, so it had not only fire detectors, but had a sprinkler system. So the building did not burn to the ground, but it was flooded. And so that meant all the carpet, walls had to be worked on. It was a mess. So today, as we're meeting right now, this congregation is able to move back into their sanctuary for the first time in 3 months. And one of the things they are being guided to do right now is to write down on index cards something good that came from this experience. Imagine that. This was a tragedy, a great loss of equipment, the carpet, extensive water damage to the walls in the building, total disruption to church life. The library was completely destroyed, all the books gone. They were like refugees meeting wherever they could find space. And if they did to return to the church to try to hold meetings there, they had to use porta potties. But this is what we do in Unity. This is how we endeavor to live our lives, looking for the good everywhere present, even in the midst of crisis, loss, and grief, and deep, deep pain. It's easy to find God in a beautiful sunrise or sunset. What if that same view was marred by smoke from war, or forest fires, or arson? That beautiful flower reflects God in all its vivid colors. What about the weeds? Is God there also? Everyone smiles when seeing the face of an infant or a toddler. They're so precious. We see the light of God in their eyes and we hear it in their laughter. Is that same light of God in a child born with a defect, a deformity, a genetic disorder, a Down syndrome child? We love the sunshine. What about the rain? Can we find God in a storm? Of course. How about the storms in our lives? The disagreements, the misunderstandings, the arguments with our friends or family, the discord that arises in relationships, the differences of opinions, the distance from those we love and cherish, the diagnosis, the prognosis, or the unknown, the disappointments, the heartaches, the sorrow, the wounds we inflict upon others, and the woundedness we feel. Is God there too? Without a doubt, God is everywhere present. Finding God in root beer floats, that's easy. That's easy. Our senses are delighted. It's sweet, refreshing, and there's ice cream. Finding God everywhere present in our lives, in the good and in the not so good. This is how we strive to live and move and have our beingness from this space, knowing we are always living from the space of God, regardless and perhaps because of what is happening around us. Realizing that we are truly, each one of us, a unique, unrepeatable, sometimes quirky, authentic, and quite amazingly beautiful expression of God. And so is everyone else. Find God in that root beer float. Then be inspired to find God. Find good everywhere in your life and in your world. This is our work. This is our joy. This is our gift to the world. And each of us, each of you are fully equipped to be who we came here to be and to love as we came here to love. And so it is.